See if I'm online. Guys, just give me 1 second. Yep. Is our audio okay? I think. Wait, let me try if my audio is okay.
Yep. Is our audio okay?
Sounds good. All right, perfect. Good evening, guys, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's your Aries Tao. So today we are going to look into the Godox R200 lights, right? All right. So previously, you may or you may have not watched the Godox R200 YouTube videos that on the Godox websites, right? There's so much more I want to fit into you guys, but there's a limit. I can only make up 11 minutes or 12 minutes of videos. Otherwise, your focus span for the typical YouTube users has been lost. So I would consider this as additional information or further discussion with R200, because R200 is not only in the hi guys, hi Chris, hi everyone, hi Marvin. If you guys have any question, just feel free to drop it here. I'll try to answer in between slides or at the end of the slides, if that makes any sense, right? So R200, it's not only a rain flash. Today I want to talk further, or let's jump further into the ecosystem or the accessories to help amplify the characteristics of R200 as a ring flash. And its unique feature. So I'm going to break down today's talk into 3 parts, right? First, let's review what's so special about ring flash, or what's the difference between ring flash and traditional, let's say, Fresnel head or round head flash. And then let's jump into the accessories, which I typically want to break down into 2 parts. The first part will be reflector, specially designed for R200. What's so special with it? And the second will be umbrella. Umbrella is nothing new, but here I recently discovered a very unique feature combining the R200 with R200 reflector and the umbrella, which delivers this softest and most even light sprayed over, which is beautifully kissing on the skin or the clothing fabrics, which I'm going to share with you as the last part of this presentation. Without any further delay, so let's get started. So the first part, let's look into the what's so special about the ring flash, right? If you combine the lighting patterns, if you compare the lighting patterns from left to right, that will be ring flash. In the middle will be R200, which is the round head. On the right will be the square head, which is Fresnel head. You will see that the light falls, I mean, from the highlights to the shadows, right? The ring flash has the most subtle light falls, if that makes any sense. It makes so much difference when we shoot portrait or shoot for the clothing and brand, right? In such lightfall in real life is that if you look at the dress, right, from head to toe, obviously with ring flash, you have this beautiful, evenly spreaded lights, right, from head to toe with least light falls. And on the right, on the middle, that's R200. On the right, that's traditionally the square head or the Fresnel head, which it's beautiful too. But if you are shooting for a brand, if you are shooting for the skin, which you want to bring the best of the texture, evenly spreaded, or you want to bring the best out of the skin, then you probably would go for the ring flash. Another thing is, does the shadow cast on the wall bothers you? If not, then that's fine. But if it is, so you will notice that the ring flash casts the least noticeable shadow over the wall, which is very similar to the parabolic softbox I personally use as well. So yeah, let's jump into the ring flash. Okay, I have discussed this about the on-camera ring flash, how to use them, and what's so good with them in the Godox in the R200 official YouTube videos. So I will try to keep it very short, right? So basically, ring flash is on-camera flash. It's awesome if you're a run and gun kind of shooter. If you're a one-man team, right? It's basically you can just take it anywhere with you. And I can shoot it in the shopping center, in the market with no hassle. It's simply because it's so small and so easy to use, and it doesn't draw too much attentions, right? Now let's look into the second part, which is the reflector. I feel like the RFT-25S, if there's only one accessory from the R200 accessory kit I'm going to bring with me, that'll be the reflector. Why? Just let me show you with the real world example. Hey guys. So if you look at this image, I think it's a great example to show you the advantage of the RFT-25S. I'm just going to call it reflector, okay? The reflector. Notice that if you look at the lights from head to toe, you see the lights is evenly covered from the hair, the face, the clothing, and as well as the legs. However, if you pay close attention over her skin, which is the legs as well as the hands, you will see this beautiful yet very pleasing light force, right, over her skin. The center parts of the hand is the highlights, the side is the shadow. That is because this reflector forms a beauty dish, kind of like of light, and because it's reflected from this reflector and back into the model, the light is at its softest. It's a way, like, I mean, the R200 light itself is already soft, but the reflected light is even softer. Because the reflector is a bigger size than the original lights, you have a softer light because of the larger light source. The larger the light source, the softer the light. The reflected light is generally softer than the light directly from the light, right? So softer makes the light even softer. That's why you will see this beautiful light falls over the skin, right? To give an illusion that her skin is glowing. That's why I feel like the reflector is probably the most skin or fabric friendly accessory in that sense. If you look closely, you will see that the highlights and the shadow sort of gradient, which is beautiful and pleasing. If you look at her hair, you'll see her hair, the light is beautifully forms this highlights to shadow gradient over her hair as well. Does it make sense? It's almost like a combination. It's very similar with Beauty Dish. It's almost like a combination with harsh lights, which creates this highlight, but it has this beautiful soft lights mixed with it, so the shadow is not so deep. That's why I love about these lights. And be reminded, this reflector is a way lighter. It's a way lighter than the traditional Beauty Dish, right? I have the Bowen mount Beauty Dish. I generally just use them in studio. If you ask me to take it on location with me, maybe once or twice a year, like every Christmas and Easter. But this reflector is a way lighter, and like I could take it with me on any photo shoots. This is an on-camera flash, right? you can mount your camera on the beauty dish, or you're like me. Sometimes I use on camera and I quickly want to switch to off camera. I just hand hold, one hand with the camera and another hand with the beauty dish. All right. So now, another thing about this reflector is that, well, you have seen that it's as an on-camera sort of on-camera flash. However, you can quickly switch from the on-camera mode into off-camera mode within no time, right? So basically what I did is I don't really mount my camera on the reflector. I basically just keep it like that so I can move the lights around with a light stick, which is already on the YouTube channel. You guys can watch. So quickly, when you change, like when the light stays the same, the light source stays the same, by changing where the light is from full front, which is the camera axis, which you have the softest light, into like it's pretty much 45 degrees on the camera left, you have this light, so still soft light, but from 45 degrees on the left creates so much more contrast. Now you see her chin is under shadow and her face is under it catches with this highlights, right? So there's highlight on her nose areas, and there's this beautiful soft shadows over her chins, or you see the shadows under her on her neck, but yet not so deep, right? And because the lights hit her face first, and now it creates this highlights to shadow gradient from the face to the legs, right? If you are the kind of person who enjoys to have a face as the brightest parts of the image, then the photos on the left will probably be the right photos for you. So the reflector is there. It creates its beautiful lights with such unique characteristics, very similar to a beauty dish. You can quickly swap between on-camera flash on the right or off-camera flash on the left. So on the right, it will probably be a photo shoot for the brand, for the clothing. On the left, it's probably for the photos. For portrait photographers, which loves those dramas in the photos, right? So those two photos has been shot like 2 minutes apart from each other, right? So just a bit close up to show you guys a bit more details. You see that the beauty with the reflector, when you look at this image, the beauty with this reflector is that even you look at the shadow parts over her clothes, right? You don't see an edge there between highlights and shadows. It's being so soft. If you look at her shoulder, you will see this soft transition between the highlights and the shadows. And the light is it feels almost like the light is wrapping around her shoulder, right? It's not the softest light, but it has this unique quality between the soft light and harsh light source, right? If you want softer light, which I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, you can quickly attach an umbrella with it, over it. So if you look at this, that's another on-camera flash. I think the beauty with on-camera flash is that you just have to ETTL, which I shoot with ETTL all the time, and bam, the image is captured within no time. Look at this. Look how beautiful the skin is. With on-camera flash, it's supposed to be a flat light source because the light is coming from the camera axis. But you still see that this, if you look at this, the gradient between highlights and shadow over her cheekbones, that's because it's relevantly a larger light source. If you look at her hands, you'll see these subtle highlights to shadow gradients too, right? It's because it's such a larger and soft light source. Even from the camera axis, it will create its beautiful light force according to info square law over her hands. Basically, whichever is closest to the light will be brighter, whichever is further away from the light, which is edge of the hands, will be darker. Okay, now another image done side by side from the previous image, still by reflector. Only this time it's off-camera flash, which I hold the reflector over my hands. I think it's, well, you can do this kind of image by beauty dish, that's no doubt, but here's the thing. It's lighter than any beauty dish I've ever had, right? If you are the one-man team, if you don't have any assistant, this reflector will be perfect for you, because nowadays with my Sony, I just use one hand to hold the camera and I just use the other hand to hold the reflector. Literally, the reflector with the light is similar weight with my A1 camera. That's how light it is. That's how light it is, because it's so light, and I'm happy to move it around, just with my hands without any light stand. I just use a stick to move it around to test. So you can test different light setup within no time. Like previously, you see the off-camera flash, which is 45 degree on the camera left. This is probably, right above the camera to create this beautiful butterfly light patterns over the model. And this photo is actually shot while we are walking. I was asking the model to, walking towards the ocean, and I'm just following her, and I ask her to turn around. That's why, the wind blows, the dress starts to fly. All of a sudden, you catch a beautiful, genuine, moments with the motion, rather than, if you have a softbox, if you have a traditional beauty dish, which you need to use a light stand, she's just going to be stands there and looks stiff. Does it make any sense? So I feel like the weight of your light and the weight of your accessory is important too. The lighter the light, the lighter the accessory is, you are more likely to be able to move around with it and to capture more shots with motions. All right, let me answer a few questions, guys, before I jump into further details. Guys, let me finish this slide first. With this slide, you see that it creates so much. Here's some side thoughts, right? The light from the camera axis is flat, but the light from direction or right above will create this beautiful texture over the clothes, right? You see so much textures of the fabric. So it's a little thing, but it brings the image to the next level. Comparing with a small light source, the reflector is relevantly a larger light source, even it's not the largest light source, right? With the largest light source, we're going to discuss about umbrella, which we think about 2 minutes. You see the shadow, the highlights, it's not so hot, and the shadows are not so deep. So this is somewhere nicely falls between the softbox and the bare bulb. And I would say that if you like a bit contrast but not too much, this is probably the accessory or the modifiers for you. So Florian is asking me, with which flashes let me see if I can highlight this. So with which flashes can this be used? So you need the 8200 Pro, and then all you need is to buy the R200 head. Does it make sense? With 8200 Pro, you have a Fresnel head, which is square flash head. You can unmount it and mount an R200 ring head over it, and that's it. Mike was like, how do I get a modeling lamp to work? I can't seem to do it. The modeling lamp is controlled by the 8200 Pro body. Hey Christian, I'm struggling to answer. I'm struggling to understand the question. How is the shadow in the background with the R200 when the subject is near the background? If the subject is near the background, I feel like there might be some light spill on the background, which makes the background lighter. Particularly in this image, you see that there's, of course, the light wouldn't spill on the ocean, so the ocean sort of stays the same. How long is the cable? I personally haven't measured it. I would imagine somewhere between 1.5 meters, around 1.5 meters, which is quite enough for me. So around 1.5, I would say between 1 to 1.5. My might just borrow the lights. Otherwise, I will just take it out right now and answer your question. How have you find it works with close up? With close up, so it will look like, it will act very much like a parabolic reflector, if that makes any sense. So you have a very with a close up, then the light source becomes considerably larger because it's closer, and then it's beautiful light wrapping around her face, if that makes any sense. If you check out my original YouTube video with R200, there are a few shots done with close up, and let me know if you have any further question. All right, so let's continue. So this is two shots. These are two shots with reflector pretty much at the same location. On the right is on-camera flash, which is flat, and on the left is off-camera flash, which is right above the camera. Creates this, it's very similar to a butterfly light, if that makes any sense. So you see, with the same light source with similar distance from your subject, where the light is from makes makes a huge difference how the image would appear, or the contrast over your subject. Okay, so here's another image with this ring flash and RFT reflector, right? I shot this at the night of Town Hall. We were originally supposed to shoot the twilights, but for some reason, I forgot my trigger, so I have to go home and come back to do the photo shoot, and all of a sudden, everything's just pitch black, which is fine. And I find this rather interesting. You see how the ring reflector brings out all the details on the golden pans, which is quite pleasing, and the light force over the ground is a way easier comparing with comparing with traditional smaller light source. There's no harsh shadows. Everything just so subtle and beautiful, and yet the face is the brightest part of the image. So I put the light right above my camera. Rather than shooting from the camera axis, I put the light right above my camera. So her upper body is actually brighter than her lower body. Because if I use it as an on-camera flash, it's probably her chest area, which is closest to the camera, will be brighter than her face, if that makes any sense. Okay, so another example here with the ring flash with RFT25S reflector. This is shot. It's pretty much after sunset. I think it's 45 minutes after the sunset. You can see it's pretty much very dark in the background already, and you see the city lights is already on. I shot this as 1/8 second. So you have this kind of fashion sort of blurry, fashion sort of motion blur in the image. And the beauty with ring flash is that it's a flash. We can use the flash to freeze the motion, to freeze the model, to have this fashion blur. The extra beauty with it is that because it's a ring flash, and her dress, it looks way more pleasing, and her skin. If you look at her skin closely, you'll see these beautiful highlights over her forehead area and her chin area. So that creates this beautiful highlights to emphasize her bone structure, especially her cheekbones. That's why whenever I can, now with the ring flash, I try to keep the RFT 25S reflector on my ring flash most of the time. If I can't keep it on all the time, doesn't make any sense. So some close up. If you look at her forehead and her chin, you can see the highlights to the shadow sort of transitions, which emphasize her bone structure, which is really beautiful. Now, this reflector is so light, and it feels, like I would say it's less than. I never measured that personally. It's it's similar to a weight of prime lens, of Sony prime lens on my hand. So image on the right is without flash, image on the left is with flash. You can see it's beautifully frees her hair and beautifully bring out the texture of this green dress, which is really hard in the night shots. That's why I feel like the ring flash with reflector, it's probably the best combination, that if you want to bring out all the texture details in the wake light sort of photo shoot scenarios. Let me answer some of the questions. Nicola was say, can you mimic this para, or what kinds of umbrella? I'm just going to answer your question in about 10 minutes, okay? In about 10 minutes with my slides. The question was like, can you use this flash for events? Absolutely. Like wedding, sure. You can, to be honest, I feel like if you're shooting this with wedding and it's on camera flash, you can just shoot it all the time. I would imagine you can create lots of fun photos within the dancing floor, right? Especially when all the people are dancing with drink at the venues, just use them as a straight on-camera flash, which will be really interesting. And this is I personally like this image very much. It's almost create this look of Hitchcock sort of, feel the old kind of film look. Or sorry, just give me. Let me. So basically, slow shutter, right? Slow shutter, so everything's motion blur. You can do anywhere between half seconds or 1 or 16 seconds. Obviously, depends on your surroundings, and then try to stay within the same distance with the model. So she's almost keep this, try to move with the same speed with the model, right? So she's almost like static in a sense. It feels like you guys are sitting, both you and your model sitting on a train, and the surrounding subject is being moving, right? In that sense. So yeah, it's really interesting sort of shots, and it's my first time get it because I can't shoot this with umbrella with a softbox because simply I can't handhold the umbrella or softbox, and and the back work is just too much over my hands. But if I shoot this as on-camera flash or a Fresnel head, her skin would be so nice. Does it make sense? You still see her skin glowing. It's a very it's relatively flat light, but her skin is glowing, right? Because the ring flash plus the reflector creates this beauty look, which is much pleasing over her skin, or emphasize her bone structure. So yeah, that's why I feel like if you're a one-man team and you just want to create this beauty look, or you want this light which is more pleasant with a fabric texture with her skin, this is a perfect combination for you. Now let's move into the last part, or the third part of this talk, which is combining your R200 with umbrellas, right? That would answer the question for Nicola as well, right? How to mimic this sort of para. You can't really mimic the para because the para has a very specific design, which is parabolic shape, enables you to control the softness or harshness of the light. But because R200 ring flash, it's so evenly spreaded over the umbrella, you can sort of get away with it by combining R200 with the deep umbrellas, right? So in this image, you sort of zoom out the umbrella, let the light fully evenly spread over the umbrella to create the softest light. And over this image, you can sort of zoom in to have a relevantly smaller light source, which is harsher over her skin. You can see her forehead is obviously hotter. So by zooming and zoom out the umbrella, you sort of can mimic or have a cheaper version of the parabolic reflector, right? You can sort of, you can't really fine tuning it, but you can sort of have a have some wiggle zone between the soft light and harsh light. I wouldn't say that reflects parabolic reflectors at all, but you can sort of control that, especially with R200 ring lights. Now, this is something I never showed before, and And this is something rather very interesting combination. So I recently, I would say it's a happy mistake, but I recently find out you can combine the reflector with your Godox umbrellas, especially like I'm referring to the deep parabolic umbrella. By combining those, your umbrella size stays the same. So ideally, how soft the light stays the same. But in real world, because the light from the reflector is already being evenly distributed, or it's already being softer, the light reflected or shoot through the umbrella, it's going to be even softer, right? If you look at this image, that's 45 degrees from the camera left, which is supposed to be very hot, create a lot of contrast. It does have a contrast within it. However, it is very unique, and it is very unique, has this unique quality of it, and it's probably the softest lights I've ever had with this UB 105 umbrella. Does it make sense? Photos on the left is 45 degree from the camera left, using reflector as well as the umbrella, and camera on the right is front camera with reflector on it. Now, let me show you a trick how to mimic a blue hour photos on a cloudy day. So the photos on the left is on a cloudy day with zero AV, zero exposure compensation. The camera on the right is 2 stops under, right? 2 stops underexposed. So underexposed. Secondly, will be the manually control your white balance. During the daytime, the white balance is about 5,500K or 6,100K. However, during the nighttime, everything becomes so blue. Basically, you should manually change the white balance to, I don't know, somewhere between 3,000K and 4,000K. Then you place model, right? If you get your camera setting right, your camera setting controls the surroundings or the environment, right? What's the environment? What's the background looks like? Then you bring in your model. You realize that your model is a way underexposed, but it doesn't matter because we can add in our flash. In this sense, in this particular photos, that will be the ring flash plus the reflector plus the white umbrella. The reason I'm adding white umbrella is because I wanted to look like a softer light during the night. Because in the night, you can have a harsh light source, that makes sense too. But in this particular context, I feel like the blue in the background of the ocean, the water, it's so subtle. I just want to have a softer light, right? And also I just want to play around with this softer light, see how it goes. If you look at this image, if you look into her pupil, you will see where the light is. It's just right above the camera because it's such a large light source and it's such a soft light source. It creates this beautiful light fall over her skins. So with this set of image, with this combination of the ring flash plus the reflector plus the white umbrella, deliver the softest lights I've ever had. I feel like it makes my life a way easier in post-production. I basically save tons of time with skin retouch, if that makes any sense. Now, let me go over some of the question. What kind of photos would you prefer the R200 over and softbox, for example, parabolic softbox? Personally, I wouldn't use the R200 with a parabolic softbox, because if I want to combine any lights with parabolic softbox, I would use 8300 because I have the 8300 Godox mount, or I would use 1200. Whenever I use R200, is basically when I do not have a assistant, and I would like to use the R200 for run and gun kind of photo shoots, because it's so light and so easy to carry around with me. So that's her skin details. Now, the same setup, except this time the light is from the camera right. You can see another reason why we combine the reflector with the umbrella, because the umbrella is larger. It creates a huge, much bigger light source, which fully covers from head to toe. So if you want a soft light covers from head to toe, you're probably better off combining with an umbrella. Here is another photos using the umbrella. Now, here's another interesting photo shoots from a night shots I've told you guys. You see on the left, on the right, it's pretty much pitch black, right? Because there's absolutely no light there at all. It's pretty much 2 hours after sunset. I did this image with one light. So I basically placed the reflector combining with umbrella above the camera, right? Pointed directly towards the model. And then, of course, the model get lit up. But what's so special with this image is that because of the umbrella diffuse the lights around to the surrounding environment, that actually helps to lit up the architecture of the balcony as well. So I think that sort of answered the question of Christian. Says, how is the shadow in the background with R200 when subject is near the background? So this is like visually how the lights hits the background when the subject is near the background. I hope that answers your question. Okay, now if you look into the details, look at her skin, you'll notice that it still have this beautiful contrast. Even it's a soft, like it's quite far away from the subject. It creates a beautiful contrast over her nose, and beautiful shadows under her chins. And you see how beautiful the fabric is and glowing. Another one light setup with R200 reflector plus umbrella sort of combination. The surrounding is beautifully lit. However, the focus is on the subject. If you look closely, you can see how beautiful her skin is and what sort of light falls from the highlights to the shadow areas. Here is another examples. I place the umbrella purposefully above her head to create this illusion that there's a light from the ceiling glowing over her. You see there's a shadows, of course, on her neck. However, the shadow is relevantly light, and the image is very soft and pastel in a sense. the umbrella creates a softer light for sure. However, the reflector will help to diffuse the light. Something I want you guys to know that the reflector would actually makes the umbrella easier to use. Now here's the golden nuggets I think everybody would should take home with. Remember, traditionally when we use the umbrella, we try to use the feathered light. Does it make sense? Sometimes, with reflective umbrella, we add a diffusion layer, and even though we try to use the feather light because the edge of the lights is the softer light. The edge of the lights deliver the most pleasant light. I stop doing that whenever I have the ring flash plus the reflector. Because the ring flash plus reflector, the light is already evenly spread over the umbrella. It doesn't matter if you use edge lights or center of the lights. I pretty much just place the center axis of my umbrella towards the model all the time. And then I realized that the light is beautiful and soft already. And here's another example of the close-up, which you guys can see the umbrella is right above the camera towards her face, create this beautiful contrast. Yet, because it's flash, you have so much details with her eyelashes, her eyebrows, and you can see all the skin sort of textures and details. So you have a visually you have a sense how the flash sort of wrapping around the skins, and how friendly this sort of combination, the reflector plus umbrella sort of soft light combination is with the skin or with the fabrics. And that's pretty much summarize the talk with me today. As I certainly hope you guys enjoy the talk. To summarize, we have discussed the R200 ring flash on the YouTube channel already. So if you guys are just after the ring flash, or the result on camera flash, R200 as on camera flash, it's more covered with the videos on the Godox official YouTube channel. Today, we further from there, we discuss about the ecosystem of R200, specifically the reflectors, which I show you with so many examples. It's easy to be on camera flash, which is further softened the R200 lights. It can be used as off-camera flash, which is easily move around with one of your hands. And lastly, we discuss this unique combination of the Godox reflector, combining the ring flash reflector with the Godox deep. It has to be deep, by the way, deep umbrella, which generates the softest light. You don't have to worry about filtering the lights, use the edge of the umbrella lights, adding a diffusion on the umbrella. Straight away, just use the center axis of the umbrella pointing towards your subject. You have this softer lights. You have the softest lights. It's a no-brainer. It's just makes my life using the umbrella a way easier than the other flashes. So that's my epiphanies I've got by using the Godox reflector. The R200 ring flash for the last 2 months. And I sincerely hope this talk helps you with your R200 flash. If you have any further question, you can leave the comments below on my Instagram page. I will try to answer all your questions once I got a chance. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and stay safe. This is your mighty Aries Tao. I will see you the next time. Bye. Sorry, I have one more question before I jump off the lid. Without the umbrella, would the shadow be harsher when using other 200? Yes. Without the umbrella, think of this as this way. The how soft or how harsh the light should be depends on few factors. But if it's in the same light source, like the light source with the same distance from the subject, with the same from the same direction, then it solely depends how big the light source is, which means the bigger the light source is, the softer the light is, right? If you want a softer light, you simply want a bigger light source. If with R200, it's this size, so it's harsher light. With reflector, it's this size, so it gets softer. But with umbrella, it can be any umbrella. It can be 1 meter, it can be 130 meters, it can be 165 centimeters, it can be as big as you want, right? So umbrella will definitely deliver the softest light. In general, adding any modifiers over R200 will further soften the light by using the R200 as a bare bulb by itself. There are examples on the Godox YouTube channel or on my websites. On my Instagram pages by using R200 as bare bulb, R200 with reflector, combining the R200 with reflector with umbrella. Just look into those images, see which one you like, and that's probably the combination you're after. I hope that answers your question, Christian. And thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys, I don't know when I see you guys. Have a nice weekend, everybody. Bye.